Okay, so you're live?
Yes.
You can start, sir.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. I would like to welcome you to this presentation on the Saudi Mobile Show. I'm going to be speaking about the mobile money and how the mobile money can be integrated into different sectors and how this can lead into more financial and data inclusive economy and ecosystem. So to move further with this presentation, we cannot expect things to stay the same in the future. Telco or telecommunication sectors has been a strategic sector or a strategic industry for all of the governments. And that's why it has been heavily regulated and put a lot of restrictions and licensing and requirements for any competitor or any corporate that is trying to break into the telecommunications. That was like almost about 2 decades ago. Things are getting more strategic and getting more important and critical to governments and to businesses as well. So the main point that I'm trying to proliferate on here is the telco industry and the financial industry. So and specifically, to be more specific, the online payment sector. So let's take a look briefly and as a helicopter view on the telco and the online payment sectors. So for the telco industry, most of the time, you have the two main lines of business for telcos, which is the fixed lines and the mobile operation. And most of the time, telcos operate on a combination of both, but it's more into the mobile one. And we have been witnessing a lot of growth in data and proliferation of online services, and a lot of other on-top services like WhatsApp, like all this chatting and messaging and applications and platforms coming on top of the mobile service providing. And that's why all of the telcos and the mobile operators have been packaging those on-top services to their clients into so many packages and services and offers and a lot of stuff in order to monetize and to compromise on those services. In the developing markets and the emerging markets, there's a lot of low penetration rates when it comes to telcos and especially mobile ownership, and I'm talking here about the smartphone itself or the gadget itself. And this leaves a lot of long-term opportunities and a lot of room for growth in developing and emerging markets. Yet a little bit, the telco industry is struggling a little bit, and we will talk about that. In the developed markets and the well-established markets like in Europe, in the US and stuff, there's lower penetration rates. Markets are almost saturated and full of clients and full of customers. And supply and demand here in this industry is not the critical factor or not the determining factor of the industry. Rather, it's the government regulation and the controlled and the centered framework that the industry operates within. So in the developed markets or the well-established markets, the telco providers or mobile corporates need to keep pace with the tech advancements. And this will bring us later to some of the technological topics such as the IoT, the artificial intelligence and cloud data, and of course, the blockchain technology, the newly emerged one. So the telco industry is characterized by being intensively competitive. A lot of competition, it's more of a red ocean, and it has a lot of requirements in terms of CapEx or capital expenditures. Telco operators need to always be spending heavily into the capital expenditures, and here I come to the technology, the network towers, the databases, the network streaming, the clustering, a lot of technological capital expenditures need to be maintained for telco operators to stay in business and to be profitable and drive long-term sustainability. This coupled with heavy regulations from the telecom authorities in the countries that put heavy regulations on that because they want to be always overseeing and monitoring the operation and the doing of business of those telco providers. So this will take us now to look a little bit into the online payment sector, or mainly the cashless payment sector. So let's take some numbers for brief. Like in Sweden, they have a strategy and a policy that to put the country to be entirely cashless by 2023. As of now, only 10 to 15% of purchases by households in Sweden are made in cash. That means that 85 to 90% of the purchases are almost cashless through credit cards or payment solutions and gateways or online purchases. And now a lot of merchants, a lot of retail stores and a lot of shops are no longer accepting cash. A lot of them, they will not accept cash payments. In China, for example, they are a little bit tech savvy when it comes to street individuals. If you jump on a taxi, he will ask you to pay him through an e-wallet, or even to transfer the money to him through an online payment or a cashless payment. Mainly tourists or visitors to China who are not aware of the street culture when it comes to financial transaction are the ones who carry banknotes with them. So China is almost cashless. Germany and Japan, two of the most highly industrial nations and developed countries. What is surprising here that until now, the German fintech or the German online payments and cashless payment ecosystem is not that much developed as we can see in the MENA region. And this might come as a surprise, that the MENA region and the developed markets are much more developed than the developed countries themselves when it comes to online payment and banking and all this stuff. Japan and Germany, they have a lot of people, they have psychological and sentimental attachment to physical banknotes, to physical money, to physical funds. This may be attributed to the historical traumatic experiences that they had in Germany. For example, before the Berlin Wall that came down in the 80s, and even Japan, due to a lot of catastrophes and disasters that happened to them, people psychologically and sentimentally are tending towards keeping money physically. So this is a little bit of a psychological issue and a culture issue to be faced when entering into the Japanese or the German market. Now, let's see how the tech, specifically when it comes in the technological applications of mobile and telecommunication, meets banking and finance. So in tech, specifically, we have now the prospected 5G technology. We have been talking a lot in the past decade about the Internet of Things, and now in the Internet of Transactions. When we come to blockchain technology, which is nothing new, it's just cryptography implemented in the transactional space. And now we are speaking about Internet of Transactions, how we can verify the transaction, how we can record it, make it tamper-proof, immutable, auditable, and all this stuff. Of course, with cloud computing and artificial intelligence. And when we speak about artificial intelligence, this leads us to machine learning as well, because artificial intelligence and machine learning brings a lot of data processing and a lot of data analytics and trend management and trend detection. And this is very crucial when it comes to telcos and finance and banking. So the applications of those techs in banking might benefit the banking sector in the KYC processes. The KYC is the know your customer. And this is the screening process that the bank goes through with a client or a new customer in order to make sure that they are compliant with the AML regulations or requirements, which is the anti-money laundering. And now as well, more, take it one step further, we have the KYT or the know your transaction. So it is not just about knowing your customer and what is his or her profile, we now need to know the transactions happening after we onboard the client. And the client starts transacting by transferring, by paying, by receiving funds, remittances, all of this stuff. We need to know the transaction. Where is it coming from? Is the money that the client is now transacting on, is it clean or coming from a good source? Not just the client, but even the other persons or the other entities that the client is dealing with or receiving money from. So until now, we have been seeing some mobile payment solutions has been implemented already. One of the earliest ones was to pay your bills. So automatically pay your bills of utilities or license renewal for the driving license, for applying for a landline, for electricity, for utility, for an internet subscription, for even for streaming services like Amazon, like Twitch, like Netflix, all these stuff. We have been seeing a lot of mobile operators and telco companies integrating those services and packaging them to their clients, and even offering payment of those bills automatically from your credit in the mobile operator account. Recently as well, and not quite recently, for quite a long time, we have been seeing some operators, they provide the money transfer service among the same users of the same network. So let's say, for example, if we take like in the Saudi STC, or maybe in Europe, like Vodafone and stuff, and as well in North Africa, they offer the online transfer from your mobile wallet to another mobile wallet within the same network, within the Vodafone network. And you can just issue a debit card or ATM card through one of the banks that the mobile operator partners with, so you can pay with the money or you can withdraw it from an ATM machine. So these are the earliest forms of money transfer or mobile money that we have been seeing, and it has a lot of room for improvement and even more inclusion as the penetration rates starts to be acquired by the mobile operators. Let's move as well now with the technology of the smartphones themselves having the NFC technology, or the near field connection or near field communication. This has to do a little bit now and has been emphasized during the COVID pandemic, providing cashless and at the same time contactless, where you can just tap your mobile, which has your Apple Pay or Google Pay or your bank account that provides this service through their app on your mobile. If your mobile has an NFC enabled connection, you can contactless pay with your mobile or even with your credit card or your debit card that has a Wi-Fi module net, so you can just pay with the card itself. How businesses and governments can integrate mobile money, and how telcos can find more room for their growth and more business verticals and business units. Mobile operators can start doing some partnerships or alliances together, so they can provide money transfer not just within the same network or within the same STC users or the same mobile users or the same Vodafone users. You can start as well doing cross-network transfer, so you can transfer money to other networks, to other operators. Let's say, for example, between STC and Mobile, between Vodafone and Orange, between Etisalat and Du. This can be major and tremendous in terms of including more clients and more of the nations and the people into the financial system, because all the money transfers or the money accounts with mobile operators are actually partnerships with banks. So the mobile operator opens a bank account with the partner bank, and this bank account is linked to the mobile number or the account number of the client and the customer. And this is how the client himself or herself, when they open this e-wallet or mobile wallet, they go through the same application as if it's a bank account opening. One of the technology providers or the solution providers here is an Australian company called PayID, and it's one of the most thought after by banks and financial institutions, where they provide this hassle-free SWIFT and IBAN management. So instead of having the complicated account number or the complicated or very long IBAN number, you can just create your own PayID, which is like a username or a nickname. And this is already hashed and linked to your account number. So you can just make the cross-border payments across different banks and financial institutions without the hassle of having some data that has been entered in a wrong number or a wrong way. You just put the PayID. Other area that the mobile money and telcos together can break into is having the same way as the utility bill paying and all this stuff. You can have the tax filing submission of individuals and businesses, and this will be with the arrangement with the government and with the records, the government records for businesses and individuals for tax filing. This has a lot of perspectives, for example. Even more, to take it one step further, telcos can even start providing saving accounts, pension plans, or insurance policies for health insurance, for life insurance, business insurance, accident insurance, a lot of insurances. And those financial products like saving accounts or pension plan that deducts regularly on a monthly basis or quarterly basis can deduct from the credit of the user or even add it to the bill a defined contribution that can goes into a pension plan for the user. So now telcos are not just providers of mobile operation and Wi-Fi and streaming. No, they can even start providing life products like the saving accounts and pension plans and insurance for individuals and for businesses as well. Another thing is to link those accounts the same way that the mobile number or the mobile account is linked to a bank account through the e-wallet or the money transfer service. They can do the same by having the same mobile number and the mobile account to be linked and hashed against the digital ID and passport maybe as well. So now the mobile number becomes an e-ID or an e-passport for the client and the user. And this can be arranged with the government's records and even airports and immigration authorities. So we have a one ID that encompasses everything about the individual or the business. Another area for telcos to grow in as well is the telecommerce. Through integrating payment solution or the payment gateway of the mobile operator with different merchants, wholesalers, supermarkets, retail stores, and even on e-commerce platforms such as Amazon, such as eBay, where you just, the same way that Apple pays and Samsung Pay, they are pioneering this one because they are partnering extensively with a lot of websites, with a lot of merchants, with a lot of shops all over the world to accept their payment method. And now they are accepted across a lot of POS machines. Another thing is conversational commerce or conversational selling through the implementation of artificial intelligence in the chatbots. So chatbots can pop up on an online e-commerce platform or even within Facebook or WhatsApp. And through the chat with the chatbot, with the intelligent chatbot, it can start giving recommendations and suggestions for selected items and the product that might fit the profile and the data points entered by the user. So shops and markets as well can utilize this in partnerships with telcos and mobile operators by having the self-checkout. We have been seeing self-checkout in a number of mega supermarket retail chains. Instead of going to the counter and having a cashier processing the scanning of the items that you have purchased and then printing a receipt for you or processing the payment, you can just with your mobile scan the barcodes or the QR codes on all the items from the supermarket or a pharmacy or a retail outlet. you just can scan them, and then the mobile application of the mobile operator itself produces a receipt and deducts the amount, or you can pay the amount from your phone. You check yourself out in a seamless way. Another area as well that has been growing recently and has a lot of focus is telemedicine. So telemedicine, the term here is a little bit confusing for some of the people, because we have telemedicine, we have telehealth, and what is the difference? Actually, telemedicine is part or subsequent from telehealth. So telehealth is about providing health care knowledge, information, and services according to the profile of the citizen or the individual. Mobile operators can tap this through linking hospitals, clinics, laboratories, and pharmacies together by an intelligent platform based on data analytics, artificial intelligence, even blockchain technology, to have this decentralized or maybe centralized according to the model itself. Can be permissioned, it can be permissionless. This is more of a technical issue here, but the idea of telemedicine is to provide medical and healthcare information to individuals. Now we see the Samsung smartwatch, the Apple smartwatch, and now they can even read your biometrics and your medical data, or biological data, such as your heartbeat rate, the blood pressure, the temperature. They can analyze all of this readings and aggregated data to provide a diagnostic overview of the person or the citizen, and even send those data and send those aggregated data that are collected from the individual through the wearable gadgets to the nearest doctor or to the nearest hospital. And this can be integrated with location identification or the positioning of the location through integrating Google Maps, for example, and send those data to the nearest doctor or hospital periodically, and have the citizen or the individual receiving a medical report that has some of the recommendation, the advices. Of course, this is subject to some of the regulation. It has to be arranged carefully with the healthcare authorities, and maybe as well operators can partner with hospitals, with clinics to provide such a service. So not all of the service can be provided directly through the operator. The operator can merge or make an alliance or partnership or even third parties to provide such data. And all of this data collected can provide a lot of analytics, a lot of research intelligence for health insurance. So this will take us to the InsurTech, and we have spoken about this in the previous slides, where mobile operators can start providing insurance services to their clients. So insurance companies will need to know the history, the health history of the user or the account holder, so they can better provide the insurance, the medical coverage, all of this stuff. Even as well for the medical or the drug manufacturers and producers. So for warehousing, for storage, for tracking and tracing the authenticity of the drug, the anti-counterfeit of the drug or the medicine itself, this can be integrated through blockchain technology applied for tracing and tracking. And this is a major use case for blockchain technology here when it comes to supply chain, and specifically for the supply chain of medicine and drugs. All what we have spoken about so far until now can give us an insight and a look, a helicopter view into the future and next steps, and even the futurology of the mobile operators lines of business that needs to be harnessed in the future in order to ensure the continuity in the business. We have been seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the telco industry and in the mobile operators space, and this has spotted or raised some flags about that the sector is declining or the sector is going down, and it needs more room for growth, more room for revenue generating, and as well providing best-in-class and high services for their users and account holders. So with all this said, through the mobile money, remittance, transfers, cross-border payments and cross-border remittances, telecommerce and telemedicine and telehealth, all of this needs of course, the 5G, when it comes into place across the entire world, providing a lot of wide bandwidths and streaming of data, fast connectivity, coupled with the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things through the wearables and gadgets and all the sensors that has been around us all over the place. Together, this can provide an analytical and intelligent research framework and a platform that businesses, governments, and even individuals can rely upon and can benefit from those data collected. This will provide us with very deep and insightful look into the trends, the demographics, the behavior of the individuals when it comes to purchasing, when it comes to spending, when it comes to money flow, when it comes to health and aging and population. This will be massive, will be like, I can say, my personal opinion, that this will change entirely the landscape of how we are living now. This as well, when it goes to the banking sector, the banks can be provided through those platforms and data analytics dashboard a lot of powerful information to assess the credit worthiness of businesses or credit worthiness of individuals. So if we are not talking about mobile operators, maybe in the future getting more into deeper interaction and deeper connectivity with banks and financial institutions by providing financial services, saving accounts, and all these financial products, even pensions and DC pensions, they will need to assess the credit worthiness through the history of purchase and the history of the financial transactions of the individual in order to be able to provide and make a decision about whether to cover such an individual or not, whether the mobile operators through a partnership with some of the wholesalers or e-commerce partners can provide some credits for purchasing for some goods and services, even for the credit scoring and the KYC, know your customer, and KYT, know your transaction verification. And this can all be on a ledger that is blockchain powered, so we can assure that all the information, all the data are not fake, are not interrupted, are not scrambled, are not interfered through any other party that can alter or tamper the information. And now we are living into an information era, and everything now is being computerized, is being transformed into digital and intelligent systems. So as Mark Andreessen of Andreessen Horowitz in the US describe it, software is eating the world. So we cannot expect everything to stay the same, and even the change is going to come very fast and very soon, more than we can comprehend. I think I will conclude here my presentation, and I would like to thank you for your time, for your interest, and for your staying with me until the end. And I'm open for any questions or suggestions from the audience.
Thank you very much for the excellent presentation. It's really fantastic. Please, if you have any question to ask Engineer Ahmed, anybody has any question? So it seems no question. from the audience.
I think the audience need a little bit of time to
Okay.
digest this and stuff. So if any questions, you can send it to me, and I'll be more than happy to get in touch directly with you personally and answer any questions or inquiries. I can even willingly invite you people to get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to answer questions and share insights and thoughts. And thank you, Saudi Mobile Show and Saudi AI Society, for having me on such a prestigious event and conference.
Thank you very much for
Thank
the
you,
nice
Doctor.
presentation. Thank you very much for your nice presentation. I enjoyed it very much, and I think this is not the last one. It's going to be our pleasure to invite you, inshallah, for our next sessions soon, and we will make sure that we prepare the necessary questions in advance.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day too.
Thank you, Engineer Ahmed.
Thank you.
It was indeed a very nice session. Like Dr. Fatima said, we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Our next session will start at 6 o'clock. We request all the attendees to join us there. Thank you.